Hi, I'm Tyler, and welcome to another episode of my Christian Music Week reviews. Each week I take 5 releases, albums, EPs, or singles, and after I listen to them all week, I come back here and I review them. I share what I think about them. So without further ado, let's get to this week's first release. MercyMe's new album, Inhale, Exhale. MercyMe's new album, Inhale, Exhale. Let's talk about it. So let me just say, this is a really good album from MercyMe. Stylistically here, pop, contemporary, funk, and a couple hints of folk influence as well is what dominates this album. Instrumentally here we have bass guitar, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, drum, bass, piano, synth. We have violin at a few points, and we have trumpet on a couple tracks too. And as for the lyrics here, the lyric themes are pretty awesome on here too. The overriding theme talks about letting go of your past and embracing the fact that you're brand new in Jesus and letting yourself be loved by Him, and that ultimately frees you up to love others. And also, on a side note, the album also touches on how, in the midst of the pain, we can look forward to the hope that we're one step closer to home. Up next, Elevation Worship and Maverick City Music's new album, Old Church Basement. Elevation Worship and Maverick City Music's new album, Old Church Basement. Let's talk about it. So, pretty good worship album here, I would say. Instrumentally here, we have acoustic guitar, bass guitar, drum, piano, and as for the lyrics here, really like the lyrics to this album. So the overriding theme talks about waiting on God, our good, more than enough provider. Also, a couple of songs I think give the reason why this album is titled Old Church Basement, particularly the title track and the song Talking to Jesus talks about those old church basement moments of first learning to worship Jesus, learning to pray to Him, talk to Him like He's a friend. And also, other themes include God through Jesus' blood changing our hearts into before and after. Also talks about asks the Holy Spirit to come and dwell within our empty hearts. Up next, Koryn Hawthorne's new EP, The Worship EP. Koryn Hawthorne's The Worship EP. Let's talk about it. So, good songs here, but I would say that it can kind of seem to sound the same a little bit after a while with three versions of How Great and two versions of Know You. I wish she had done more individual tracks on here instead of multiple versions of a couple songs. Let's dive into sound here. Of course, a worship sound, as the title suggests. Instrumental here, bass guitar, electric guitar, drum, piano. And as for the lyrics here, talks about God's great love turning this spiritual grave into a garden. And also talks about how there is nothing better than Him. Up next, Lincoln Brewster's new album, Perfect Love. Lincoln Brewster's new album, Perfect Love. Let's dive into it. As for my thoughts on it, some songs were really good, and then there were some songs that didn't really impress me as much as I would have hoped, considering I'm a Lincoln Brewster fan. But maybe I'll get more into these songs as I listen to them again over time in my mixes and stuff. Anyhow, instrumentally, we have bass guitar, electric guitar. A lot of times bass guitar towards the start of a track, and then electric guitar towards the later part. And drum, and also gospel choir seems to sing on a lot of the tracks here. So, as for the lyrics here, talks about how God in his great love, though we do not deserve it, gave Christ to save us. And also talks about us surrendering our hearts to God in return for him to have his way with us. Up next, our last release for today, the compilation Faithful, Go and Speak. The compilation Faithful, Go and Speak, which featured artists like Christy Knuckles, Ellie Holcomb, Mission House, and others. Let's talk about it. So, pretty good album here, I would say. Stylistically here, kind of a mix of CCM, folk, and worship. Instrumentally here, we have acoustic guitar, electric guitar. There's a guitar too that kind of has some of the guitar play on this album has a little bit of a twang feel to it. Also drum, piano, and violin. And as for the lyrics here, great lyrical themes here. Talks about how no matter what we've done, Jesus' love comes for us and makes us welcome at his table. Also talks about how nothing is too impossible for God. And also talks about how even in the detours of life, God is with us. And oftentimes can lead the way to something brighter. Well, that's it for this week. Come back next week for 5 more releases. If you like what you saw in this video, please subscribe and turn on your notifications. I drop videos every Friday at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. Also, if you have any thoughts on what I said about today's releases or anything that came out today that you want in next week's video, let me know in the comments below. Also, check out the playlist section for this month's edition of my Music Muffin Streams playlist, which includes artists like Falling Up, Tripoli, Cutlass, and others. So go and check that out. Well, I'll go now. See you next week. Bye.